How good was prime Roger Federer actually? At his peak, Roger didn't just play tennis, he played a version of the sport that looked completely different to what everyone else was doing. It was calm, it was precise, and it was often devastating. The numbers were ridiculous, the titles spoke for themselves, but those don't really explain why his prime was so powerful. To understand Federer at his best, you need to feel what it's like to watch him dismantle legends, handle pressure, and shift the way tennis was played. This is a story of that Roger Federer. In the early 2000s, tennis started to change. Matches got longer, rallies became tougher, and most players stayed back at the baseline, grinding out points. The game was becoming more about strength and stamina, but Federer showed up with something different. He used a one-handed backhand when most players used two. He liked coming forward attacking rather than staying at the back and defending. At first, he didn't win much, but as a teenager, people saw his talent, but also his temper. He cried, smashed rackets, and often seemed to be fighting himself more than the other player. Federer grew up in Switzerland, and from a young age, it was clear he had something special. His timing, his feel for the ball, it all came naturally. But he struggled with his emotions. He'd get angry during practice, yell at himself, and lose focus. His parents, especially his dad, told him that if he didn't learn to control his behaviour, they wouldn't let him keep playing. That warning stuck with him, and it didn't change him overnight, but it planted the idea that talent alone wasn't enough, so he had to grow up. When he turned pro in 1998, the transition wasn't smooth. Federer's first years on the ATP Tour were full of ups and downs. He lost in the first round of first Grand Slam appearance at the 1998 French Open. In 2000, he reached his first ATP final, but he lost to Mark Russell. That same year, he represented Switzerland at the Sydney Olympics and made it to the semi-finals, but he left without a medal. Despite flashes of brilliance, consistency was missing, so between 1998 and 2002, Federer played in 17 Grand Slam tournaments, but he didn't reach a single final. His ranking hovered around the top 20, but he still hadn't broken through yet. Off the court though, he was still learning how to handle pressure, as his temper was well known from his childhood, and he'd smash rackets, argue with himself, and sometimes lose matches simply because he couldn't stay mentally steady. By 2001, Federer began showing signs of maturity. That same year, he famously defeated Pete Sampras in a 5-set thriller at Wimbledon. This ended Sampras's 31 winning match streak, but it was a symbolic moment, but not yet a turning point in Federer's career, as he still struggled with consistency. In 2002, he won 3 ATP titles and climbed into the top 10, but he also suffered early round exits at all 4 Grand Slams. His game was beautiful to watch, but mentally, he hadn't yet found the calm that would later define him. One of the hardest moments came in late 2002, when his longtime coach and mentor, Peter Carter, died in a car accident. Federer was devastated. Carter had been the first to truly believe in his potential, and his death shook Federer to the core. That loss became a catalyst, because Federer later said that Carter's passing made him realize he had to stop wasting his talent, that he needed to honor his coach by becoming the player Carter always wanted him to be.
I guess it was somewhat of a wake-up call for me when he passed away, and I really started to train hard.
I personally believe that stretch from 2004 to 2006 was Federer's true prime. In 2006 alone, he won 92% of his matches, reached all 4 Grand Slams, and won 3 of them. He wasn't just dominating, he was doing it against serious opposition. Andy Roddick, who had one of the biggest serves in history, Hewitt, who was relentless in pursuit, and Novak Djokovic just beginning to emerge, yet Federer managed to handle them all. But there was one player he couldn't quite solve: Rafael Nadal. Nadal brought a challenge Federer hadn't faced before, spinning left forehand that jumped high into Federer's backhand. It wasn't just difficult, it was relentless. And while clay was Nadal's stronghold, the rivalry grew beyond one surface. Nadal's intensity, his refusal to give up 1 inch, and the way he never seemed to crack, it pushed Federer in ways no one else did. Their rivalry peaked at the 2008 Wimbledon final, where Federer was aiming for his 6th straight Wimbledon title. He hadn't lost on grass in years. Nadal came close in 2007, stretching Federer to 5 sets. But when they both returned in 2008, Nadal beat Federer. The match stretched past 7 hours with rain delays, wild swings in momentum, and some of the finest tennis ever played. Federer saved 2 match points in the 4th set tiebreak, and for a moment, it seemed like he might pull off another comeback. But Nadal kept on going. In fading light, after a 5th set that stretched to 9-7, Nadal won. And it wasn't just a loss for Federer, it marked the first time someone had truly taken the crown from him. Yet even in defeat, Federer stood tall, he gave credit and he showed grace. And in doing so, he reminded everyone why he was bigger than just tennis. He didn't cry, he didn't disappear, but he responded. In 2009, Federer won the French Open for the first time, beating Robin in the final, the same person who had stunned Nadal in so many earlier rounds. And with that, Federer completed the career Grand Slam. Then he went on to win Wimbledon a few weeks later, passing Sampras's record with his 15th Slam title. At that point in his career, Federer had won every major record that matters. But there was another challenge rising, Novak Djokovic. He brought a different kind of toughness, because he was unshakable. He didn't miss, because when it mattered most, he could summon his best. The 2011 US Open semi-final told that story. Federer had 2 match points on his serve, he was inches away, but Djokovic took a wild forehand return, swung as hard as he could, and he made it in. The match turned, and Djokovic ended up winning. Federer would play brilliantly, sometimes take the lead, but Djokovic, especially in longer matches, wouldn't go away. The 2014 Wimbledon final, the 2015 final, and in 2019, Federer had 2 championship points on his serve, but Djokovic kept on breaking him, and then ended up winning each of those matches. However, Federer kept on showing up. He adjusted to Djokovic's way of playing, and he learned to shorten points. He picked his moments better, and in 2017, at age of 36, after knee surgery and a long layoff. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. It would mean so much if you liked and subscribed and watched this video on screen now.